If the way she treats you keeps making you feel like something's off, like the pieces just don't fit, believe me, she never really saw you as a real man. And it has nothing to do with looks, money, or sweet talk. It's something deeper. Your masculine energy, your self-control, your masculine self-image. Most men don't recognize the signs. They stay stuck in relationships where their masculine validation is constantly ignored, and they accept false submission out of fear of losing the woman. But today, that's about to change. You're about to discover 6 behaviors that might seem small, even harmless, but they reveal a much deeper truth about female behavior. And if you don't learn how to interpret them, you'll keep being seen as an invisible man with no idea why. Get ready, because the first behavior is so common, you might not even realize it's happening to you right now. If this kind of content speaks to you, if it's already hitting a nerve, then like this video, share it with someone who needs this wake-up call, and leave a comment about what impacted you most. That's how we grow this channel and help more men wake up to reality. Let's start with the first behavior, one that reveals more than it seems at first glance. 1. She pushes your buttons like a spoiled child, and you take it like a confused man. Some women don't yell, cheat, or disappear, but the poison is in the details. The sarcastic look, the mocking tone, the little games she plays just to see how far she can disrespect you before you push back. Deep down, she's acting like a spoiled child, testing boundaries, pushing limits, waiting for a reaction that never comes. And you become the understanding adult, the patient man. But what she really sees is an invisible man, weak, spineless, forgettable. And the more you tolerate it, the harder she pushes. That's the beginning of the slow death of unconscious respect. It usually starts with little unfunny jokes, constant interruptions, or that annoying habit of contradicting you, especially in public. Maybe it's around friends, during dinner with another couple, or even in front of total strangers. And you, trying to keep the peace, give a nervous laugh, take a deep breath, and let it slide. But here's what she feels, that she can shape you, that your masculine self-image is so fragile that one snide comment can make you shrink. And no woman, even subconsciously, feels genuine attraction for a man she can emotionally control. That's not strength, that's a loss of authority. And authority isn't requested, it's earned and enforced. Now, this doesn't mean being aggressive. It means being crystal clear with words and actions about where your emotional boundaries are. For example, if she mocks or interrupts you in front of others, calmly but firmly interrupt her back. Look her in the eye and say, "If we're going to talk, let's do it with respect, or we don't talk at all." A line like that, spoken without anger, shows assertive communication, presence, and masculine validation. It says your patience has a limit and that you respect yourself enough to demand the same. The man who doesn't respond to these little provocations isn't being wise. He's being emotionally passive. And passivity, in this case, has nothing to do with peace. It's about fear. Fear of confrontation, fear of loss, fear of not being loved. And when fear guides your behavior, what she sees isn't masculine energy. It's weakness disguised as maturity. She can smell it, and she'll respond the way people naturally do to weakness, by either dominating or dismissing. A real mentor would say, "What you allow, you teach." And that's exactly what's happening. When you let her childish behavior slide, just how women are, you're feeding the mask of independence she hides behind, pretending she doesn't need a man who knows how to lead. But deep down, she craves that. She wants a man who says no, who doesn't bend his values, who doesn't flinch at her emotional games. That's the mark of a man of value. Turning this dynamic around requires a small sacrifice. You'll need to endure the discomfort of being seen as cold, mean, or too harsh. But once the dust settles and she realizes she can't keep playing with your emotional buttons, something shifts. And not just in the relationship, in you. You start to awaken a genuine presence that changes the way you walk, talk, and show up in the world. It creates a ripple effect. She either adjusts or exits, and either outcome makes you stronger. Now think about it. If she acts like a child testing her father's boundaries, and you behave like her younger brother. Who's the adult in this relationship? This is where so many men lose control of the narrative without even realizing it. And the next behavior? It's even more subtle. So well disguised it may look like affection, but it's actually a complete reversal of your role as a man. Now for the second behavior. It may seem subtle, but it eats away at your masculinity from the inside out. 2. She treats you like a friend. When you're supposed to be her man, it's easy to notice when a woman is physically distant. What's hard is spotting emotional distance, especially when it's disguised as affection. She calls you cute, compares you to her best friend, invites you to binge-watch shows on the couch, but avoids any kind of intimacy or masculine praise. Little by little, you stop being the man she used to melt for and become the nice guy. That's the silent start of rejection through emotional neutrality. And if you don't catch it in time, you'll end up in a dangerous zone, emotional friend zoning. This has nothing to do with respect. It's about how she sees you. When you become predictable, overly sweet, always available, and drop everything the moment she calls, you're sending a loud message. I no longer have a life of my own. You're my entire world. And from that, disinterest is born. Because deep down, what she really wants is a man with irresistible presence, with a mission, with a pulse, not a satellite orbiting her moods. Trust me, what makes you attractive isn't how much you please her, but how strongly you hold on to your authentic presence, even when she tries to shape it. Many men confuse intimacy with friendship. They believe that being emotionally available, soft, and always supportive is the same as being romantic. It's not. You can have tender moments, of course, but when that becomes your entire dynamic, when you're the chauffeur, the therapist, the personal assistant, the 24/7 nice guy, she stops seeing you as a man and starts seeing you as her brother. And no woman wants to sleep with her brother. That crushes your masculine validation because it places you on an emotional pedestal and strips away sexual tension. The way out is simple, but it takes guts. Stop being the first to text, the first to check in, the first to adjust. Cut the excess availability. Reclaim your schedule. Get back to the gym, your friends, your books. Read The Way of the Superior Man by David Dida or The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and you'll see how strategic silence is a powerful weapon. When she feels your absence, she starts remembering your worth, and only then can hidden desires start bubbling back up. She needs to feel that you're a living mystery, that there are layers to you she hasn't uncovered yet, that you're more than the steady, predictable guy sharing her couch. When a man learns to be intriguing again, it creates a deep emotional ripple. She starts watching you more closely, dressing better around you, testing your reactions. And this is where self-mastery comes into play. You don't react too quickly. You observe. You lead the pace. And suddenly, she's standing in front of someone worth chasing again, a man of value. This kind of shift rewires how she sees you. But a word of caution, if you're doing all this just to get her to chase you, it'll backfire. Because women can smell manipulation, disguised as strategy from miles away. The change has to come from within. You need to truly reconnect with the man you were before you got lost in her orbit. And when that happens, even the way you sit changes. The way you breathe, the look in your eyes. It's like your soul steps back into the room where it always belonged. Now, if she treats you like a friend and you keep acting like her boyfriend, the math doesn't add up. And what's coming next is even more dangerous. A behavior that looks like freedom, but actually reveals a complete lack of unconscious respect. Pay close attention now. This pattern is one of the most frustrating and dangerous ones a man can ignore. 3. She says she understands, but keeps doing the same thing. You finally gather the courage. Take a deep breath and lay it all out. You speak calmly, no yelling, just clarity. You tell her what bothers you. She listens, nods, maybe even apologizes, says you're right, says you change. You feel relieved, like things are resolved. But a few days later, it happens again and again. The same behavior, the same disrespect, just with a polite smile. And now you start wondering, am I speaking to a grown woman or someone who pretends to agree just to avoid the hard conversation? This is one of the coldest signs that she never really saw you as a real man. Because when a man opens up honestly, lays down his emotional boundaries, and is still ignored, it's no longer about her behavior, it's about your authority. Once she realizes that you speak, but don't act, she files you under men I don't have to take seriously. From that point on, any attempt to assert yourself sounds like whining. Because she's already decoded you, you complain, but never change anything. This dynamic slowly wrecks your masculine self-image. You start to feel powerless, confused, even guilty. You wonder if you're overreacting. Maybe she's just distracted or going through a rough patch. But it's not that. What's happening is your masculine validation being tossed aside again and again. And when a man accepts that as normal, he loses all leadership in the relationship. Because any boundary that's broken more than once and still tolerated becomes permission. Now here's the hard truth. Talking is necessary, but not enough. What separates an average man from a man of value is the ability to match words with action. Yes, you can speak calmly and use assertive communication. But if nothing changes, the next move is yours. Maybe that's creating distance, changing the dynamic, or even ending the relationship. What you can't do is keep being the man she hears, but doesn't respect. This repeated behavior, even after honest conversations, is a classic case of manipulative femininity. Not because she's evil, but because she's figured out that you'll tolerate emotional manipulation. She's not testing you with screaming, she's testing you with repetition. And by accepting it, you're reinforcing the script. I'll tell you what bothers me, but you're free to keep doing it. That turns any man into an invisible man within his own relationship. Transformation happens when you realize that forgiveness without consequence becomes collaboration with the problem. That love without boundaries turns into emotional imprisonment. That hearing "you're right" means nothing when it's not backed by change. And when you finally act, even if it stings, she feels it. Because a man's authentic presence is rooted in clarity, decisiveness, and firmness. That doesn't push the right woman away. It brings her closer. Because she sees in you the structure she secretly craves and respects. And here, a quick pause. If this kind of content is opening your eyes to things you've never really noticed before, hit that like button now and subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. Let's keep going, because the next behavior looks like emotional freedom or a modern relationship style. But underneath it all, it hides weakness disguised as independence. Now we're stepping into tricky territory, where freedom and disrespect often walk hand in hand. 4. She says she can do whatever she wants, and you act like that's normal. She posts sexy pictures and replies to flirty emojis. Says she's going out with her girlfriends and disappears all night. She still talks to her ex as friends and is glued to her phone, having private conversations you're not part of. And when you ask about it, she hits you with the classic, "I'm free. You don't own me." The conversation flips in seconds, and suddenly you're the jealous one, the insecure one, the toxic one. But deep down, something feels wrong. It's not jealousy. It's ignored masculinity. It's the feeling of being disrespected and still having to apologize for pointing it out. This behavior is more common than you think, and it has a name: false submission. That's when a woman says she's your partner, says she loves you, says she chose you, but acts like she's single. She doesn't include you in decisions. She doesn't respect boundaries. She doesn't consider the impact of her actions on the relationship. And when you try to talk about it, she hides behind the trendy independent woman speech, when in truth, she just wants to enjoy the benefits of a committed relationship without any of the commitment. That's the mask of independence, a shield to avoid real emotional responsibility. And if you stay silent about it, or worse, try to adapt to this free-spirited lifestyle to seem cool or modern, you're signing your certificate as an invisible man. Because what she sees isn't a modern man. She sees a man with no spine, a man who gave up his masculine validation and started accepting anything just to keep the peace. And a woman who sees no boundaries will test every one of them until there's no respect left to break. The answer is not control, it's clarity. Be clear about your standards. without justifying them. Use assertive communication. Say, "You're free to do whatever you want, and I'm free to decide whether I want to be with someone who acts like that." Simple. You're not taking her freedom away. You're enforcing your own. That kind of response isn't harsh. It's a sign of a strong masculine identity. And when you do that, she either aligns with it or reveals who she really is. Many men are terrified of losing their woman if they draw the line. But the truth is, when you tolerate the intolerable, you're not gaining a woman, you're losing yourself. And once you lose yourself, genuine attraction disappears. A man who doesn't respect himself cannot inspire desire. He becomes predictable, manipulatable, emotionally dull. And slowly, she starts looking elsewhere. Not out of malice, but out of instinct. Because a woman needs to feel she's with a man who carries irresistible presence, not someone who's just watching his own relationship fall apart. Want her to see you as a man of value? Then stop pretending this is a relationship if she's acting like she's single. If she insists on reversing roles, smirking at your concerns, belittling your voice, the only answer that honors you is distance, absence, because real respect is born from the space you create when you step back with strength. Proper absence teaches more than 1,000 lectures. And listen closely. The next behavior may look like affection, attention, and even emotional involvement, but it's a trap. A quiet manipulation disguised as care. Now look closely. This behavior feels like affection, but it hides a subtle power play. 5. She showers you with attention, only when she feels she's losing you. Some days she's cold, distant, like stone. You feel like you're talking to a coworker, not your woman. But the moment you start pulling back, going out more, getting back to your own life and goals, suddenly she's texting you nonstop, complimenting you, touching you, craving you. It feels magical, but it's not. It's manipulative femininity in disguise. She's not really valuing you. She's trying to keep control. Because she senses your absence, triggers the fear of losing something she once took for granted. This dynamic is more common than you think. And if you don't understand what's going on, you get stuck in the cycle of emotional breadcrumbing. She gives you affection in small doses, but only when you start slipping from her grip. It confuses you, hooks you, and worst of all, emotionally addicts you. You begin to base your self-worth on how much attention she gives, depending on her mood. One day, you feel like a king. The next, you feel disposable. That's the psychological game in full force. And those who fall into it lose themselves. Now, the issue isn't the affection itself. It's that the affection is used as a control mechanism, not a genuine expression of attraction. When affection is conditional and calculated, it doesn't strengthen connection. It weakens your sense of self. Your masculine self-image becomes dependent on her approval. And that's dangerous, because over time, you start working for emotional scraps just to feel loved. So what's the antidote? Not revenge, not games, clarity, awareness, self-mastery. A man who sees the game doesn't play it. When she reappears with sweetness after your silence, you don't jump to respond. You observe, you assess. You don't get swept up in the moment, because you know consistency is worth more than a rush of emotion. That's self-control. That's you holding the power. And when you do that, when you stop being the guy who chases every drop of affection, she realizes you're no longer satisfied with crumbs. You've become a man of value. This changes everything. She starts watching you more closely, even cautiously, because now she can't throw you off balance like before. And that messes with her instinct. She's forced to choose, grow up or walk away. Either way, you win. Because the one who stays, she stays with genuine respect. And the one who leaves just confirms she was never really in it. That clarity is what separates average men from those with authentic presence. But a warning, don't try to fake this. Don't pretend to be distant just to trigger a reaction. That's not power. That's weakness disguised as strategy. And it won't work. What works is truly reconnecting with yourself. Prioritize yourself. Take care of your body, your mind, your future. Do it because it matters to you, not to manipulate her. A woman can feel when your absence is a performance and when it's real. And only the real thing earns respect. And in the next behavior, things become crystal clear. She no longer provokes. She just starts silently ignoring you. And that's where the worst sign lives. The moment when your masculine energy is no longer even worth confronting. We've reached the quietest point, and that's exactly why it's so dangerous. 6. She's cold, but in ways you barely notice. She doesn't lash out, doesn't disrespect you outright. She's polite, maybe even sweet, but deep down, you feel something's off. She kisses you without looking you in the eyes, listens to your stories with zero interest, replies to your texts with dry emojis. You invite her to talk, and she says she's tired. You reach for her, and she's not in the mood. At first, you think it's just stress, PMS, routine, but it keeps happening. And this quiet, masked coldness eats at you slowly. It's the new face of silent rejection. And this is where most men get fooled. Because she's still around, she didn't leave. She still sleeps beside you, still posts pictures with you, still makes small talk. But emotionally, she's gone. You feel it in the touch, in the dead conversations, in the disconnection. And yet, you stay. You think, at least she's here, right? But she's not. What's lying beside you is a body without presence, a soul that left long ago. And that subtle coldness is the cruelest way to say, you're no longer important. Examples? She doesn't ask how your day was, but expects you to ask about hers. She no longer compliments you, even when you change your haircut or accomplish something meaningful. She scrolls her phone more than she talks to you at dinner. You reach for her, and she rolls over with a headache, or pretends not to hear, and you swallow that, thinking it's just a phase. Women are like that. You tell yourself. It's normal in long relationships, but it's not. That's ignored masculinity. That's you becoming invisible in your own home. These tiny gestures you've been brushing off, they're the building blocks of hidden disrespect. And if you don't catch it, you'll keep trying to win back someone who already stopped seeing you. The biggest mistake? Thinking this kind of coldness is better than open conflict. It's not, because conflict creates clarity. Masked coldness creates doubt, and doubt slowly erodes your masculine self-image without you noticing. A man who gets used to emotional crumbs loses his sense of worth. So what should you do? It's simple, but not easy. Stop pretending. Pay attention. See the lack of interest, the absence of effort, the emotional flatline, and make a decision. Respond with self-mastery. Stop chasing. Stop demanding explanations. Don't lash out. Just walk away from the competition for her attention. Treat her coldness for what it is, a choice, and answer it with your own. Because authentic presence never begs for affection. It demands reciprocation. Go back to yourself. Rebuild. Take care of your mind, your body, your routine. Read 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Watch talks on conscious masculinity. Become the man you abandoned, trying to hold on to someone who had already let go. And when you do that, everything shifts. You move from emotional dependency to a man of value. A man who looks in the mirror and sees someone he finally recognizes again, because deep down, you always knew. But now, it's clear. The way she's acting, it's not normal. It's not fair. And it's not love. So from this point forward, it's your choice. Keep accepting silence or start writing a new story. Now that you've seen these behaviors through a new lens, the real question is, will you keep ignoring the signs? Or will you finally stand up as the man you were always meant to be? The biggest trap in any relationship is losing yourself just to feel accepted. But real change begins the moment you choose self-respect, even if that means losing someone who never truly valued you. This isn't about control, it's about balance. It's about realizing that emotional authority isn't forced. It's built with clarity, boundaries, and the courage to act. From now on, if she keeps treating you like you're small, don't argue. Grow, expand, become uncheckable. And remember what Epictetus once said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. So tell me, which of these signs did you recognize in your life? Which one opened your eyes the most today? Drop a comment below and write, "Now I see it." And if you feel like sharing your story, do it. Your experience might wake up another man who's still asleep. Thank you, truly, for for staying with me until the end of this video. If this content helped you, hit the like button, share it with a friend who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on the notifications. We've only just begun this journey of masculine growth, emotional clarity, and stoic strength. And you, my friend, are on the right path.